Hi, this is Stephen Follett with Thunderbird Long Range. I'm doing a Horus review video for long range only. The Horus review is of the phone app, the rifle scope, the weather meter, and the laser rangefinder. I've had these for a few months, and I've run them. I've run the app, I've taken it out, I've shot it, I've compared it to other ballistic apps. And so this video, I'm going to focus on going through the app and how to use the app and what I think of the app and how to use it. So look forward to sharing this information with you, and we'll get to it right now. Okay, so here we have the Horus system. I'm going to go ahead and open it here. And I've already created a user and profile. If you don't, you just put in your names, and so that you can open it and save your profile. So we'll go to Ballistic Calculator. So this is where most of the work is done. You can see I've got my 7 Sherman short mag, and then here we can select from either the 224 Valkyrie or the 7 Sherman short mag. I tested both of those, so I'm going to go with the 7. And if you wanted to add a new one, you just hit the add button and it brings up a new gun, but I'm not going to do that, so I will go back out. And if you wanted to modify it, this is my 7 Sherman, and I have my bore height, the bullet weight, diameter, ballistic coefficient. You can select either one there. It has muzzle velocity down to the reticle. And I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And so I saved it, I changed it. The ballistic coefficient, and now shows that. So if we want to select the bullet, here it has lots of bullets in here. So it's pretty simple. You just want to go 284. So it'll pull up 284 bullets, and then I'm going to go with 180. Oop, none found with 780, so let's try 180. And so then it pulls that up. So I'm going to pull up Burger VLD. And so then it auto-populates the rest of the data, the diameter, the BC, and that. And so I can input whatever you want there, but it's nice that it fills that, has a database. Go ahead and save that gun profile again. And the next one that comes up is the target. So you can put multiple targets here, which is pretty cool. So I can select target 1 and hit with the pencil, and then it will allow me to edit this. So I can come in and edit it if I want to, and change the clock from clock to degrees. Now this is using my cell phone, so I'm changing the direction, and you can see that it's updating the degrees for direction of fire. Whereas if you go to clock, it will change the clock. So there's, I turn my phone, it uses the compass in the phone, the inclination angle, and if you wanted to, you could put the size of the target in there. So I will end that. So I'm going to jump out here, save that, and let's see here. We go to atmospherics, and it's the same thing. You can select multiple atmospherics, and you can edit. So it needs location data, so I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to turn that on. Go back through this. You have the atmospheric. You've got the name, you've got the wind speed, you've got the relative wind direction, and that's relative to your firing direction. So it's relative to you. So 12 o'clock's a headwind, a 6 o'clock's a tailwind, etc. Then you've got the temperature, and you've got latitude. so south or north. And then you have station pressure, relative humidity, Coriolis. And because once you put in the data, if you change the temperature, so let's say 90, then it's going to change the density altitude. So at 90 degrees, it's 3,200. On a really hot day in Arizona, it's going to go to 4,400. So that's the data there on the atmospherics. So you can just go back out and it'll keep whatever you had. If you want to make a change, here you can change from feet per second or feet per minute, kilometer per hour, mile per hour. You can change from degrees to direction, or degrees to clock, and you can change from yards to meters by selecting those. One of the nice things is kind of fun here, and if you already have something dialed on, so let's say you got 1, it takes you to 4.2. If you go 2, it takes you to 5.2. And so that allows you to dial on one MOA and then know what your hold is. And that's the same here, mil, MOA, whatever you're running. That's the same here. If you got 1 right dialed on, then it changes that. If you got 1 left dialed on, it's going to change that. And here is the reticle in the Horus scope that I was shooting, which is the Tremor 3. And so this is going to zoom it in and zoom it out. So what's pretty cool about this is it is useful for training in my mind, because here we've got a target. It's 302 yards. We've got the wind. And so there is the hold for the reticle. If you wanted to go just to a straight range card, you can do that. And it will provide you with distances out far enough for most people shooting, especially if you're using a Horus type reticle. You're not doing ELR, but you can change the range increments. And it will just cycle through. It goes from 5 to 10, 20, 25, 50, and again back to 100. All right, so here we have the reticle in the display, and so you can see where the reticle is going to, or where you're going to shoot on the reticle. Here you see I have 1, and it's giving me the solution in MOA, but 1 MOA up. But if we go to dial nothing on, then it moves the reticle here. So we're going to go to 4 left, so then it tells you where to hold based upon whatever changes you may make. And so I'll come up here to target. Oh, we don't need to change one. I'm going to change it from target 1 to target 2. And we will change the yardage. We'll go 500 yards. We'll save that. And so now we see where our hold is. So there's target 2. So if I go to target 1, then it moves my hold. And if you have atmospherics, you can keep the same atmospherics but change the wind. For instance, here's a wind with a 12 o'clock wind at 24 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and change that to a 9 o'clock. So now we see on our reticle that we need to hold for that wind. So we'll change that to atmosphere 3, and it moves it over. Atmosphere 4, atmosphere 2, atmosphere 1. And we'll go to change the target, target 2, and it moved it down there. So that's a handy way to run your ballistics and understand how that works and how the reticle works. Alright, so here I'm going to go in the bottom right, the truing drop. You hit the truing drop, and this brings you to this one. It tells you which target you're shooting at. The inclination includes all those things so that when you true it, you're doing it correctly. And then right there in the middle, you have the muzzle velocity or the ballistic coefficient. So you can see I can change between those. So I'm going to select muzzle velocity, and then I'm going to change what the observed drop was. That says the drop that it gives me is 0.94, and let's say it's 1, and I hit update muzzle velocity. It's going to change the muzzle velocity from 2990 to 2918. And so I can update the muzzle velocity if I wanted to do that. I'm not going to do that. We'll do the ballistic coefficient. It's the same thing. If I put in here 1, I click update ballistic coefficient, it's going to take the ballistic coefficient to 0.47 G1. Obviously, I'm not going to do that either. That's just an example of what it does. All right, next time we'll be talking about the Bluetooth weather meter and as well the Bluetooth laser rangefinder. So I hope you have a good time out at the range. Happy shooting. We'll talk to you soon in part 3.